Welcome to Berkshire Now News Magazine, where we explore news and views from around the Berkshires. Staying home under quarantine isn't an easy thing to do. If you are the artistic type, you might be less inspired to create, or you might be inspired in a new and different way. This week and next, we will meet some local artists and discover how they are coping with being in quarantine. First, we meet Anna Gersonson, whose artistic inspiration is centered around food. Anna hosts her own cooking show on Pittsfield Community Television, YouTube, and Facebook. The name of her show is The Natural Cook with Anna Gersonson, and is all about how to make delicious and nutritious food at home. Anna is also a caterer, educator, and consultant.
My name is Anna Gersonson, and I am honored to be on this very special show about artists in our community. I live in the clock tower and we have wonderful neighbors. And one of my neighbors' birthday was coming up and I wanted to surprise her with a birthday cake. So I started looking around, being in quarantine, what I could use that I had at home. And I had leftover cornbread and in my freezer, leftover orange French buttercream. So I thought, I will use my artistic inspiration because this is what my cooking and baking is all about. And this is how I came up with this beautiful, delicious, she called it amazing little cake that I surprised her with and that I want to share with you today, the process of how I was making it. And I hope that you will enjoy it and also attempt to make it yourselves. I had leftover cornbread. And so I thought that I will use that together with other things. So in the meantime, I want to show you how I'm putting together a very quick recipe for cornbread. So first I have all my ingredients here. In one bowl, I have 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of cornmeal. I also have 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And here I have 1.5 cups of buttermilk. So the first thing I'll do, I'm going to use 2 large eggs. So I'm going to crack the eggs into a large bowl. And then using my whisk, I will combine them. Just whisk until they are combined. And I will use my buttermilk just to pour it in and to continue combining. Okay, so now my dry ingredients have to be mixed together. So you could either use a whisk for that or can use your flexible spatula just to make sure that they are all nicely combined and look aerated. So I'm going to add all of this into my wet mixture and just mix them together to create my batter. What I did in advance is take 9-inch cast iron skillet. I heated it up on medium heat and I put 1 stick of butter, which I melted. It cooled a little bit. The pan is still hot. That's the way I want it. And now I will pour my butter into my batter. And you can just leave some on the bottom, as you can see, because it's going to be like a nice lining for my batter. So now I am combining it all together and emptying it into my skillet. Okay. Now that the batter is in, I preheated the oven at 400 degrees and I will bake it there for about 22 to 25 minutes. You will have to check when it's ready, but I will show you. We will tune in when it's ready. See you in a little bit.
Since I knew that my cornbread was very dry, I decided that I will make a simple syrup that is usually used in French pastry making to moisten les of genoise. That's what I usually make when I create a wedding cake for my customers. And so I decided to make this simple syrup and to flavor it with orange, because orange is the flavor of my buttercream. So let's see how I am doing it. I am putting a little pot on medium heat, and I'm adding 1/4 cup of cold water and 1/3 cup of sugar. And then I whirl it around so that the sugar gets moistened, and I put it back. I increase the heat because I want this to come to boil, and at the same time I cover so that all this heat gets accumulated there and that the sugar melts evenly. So when my sugar gets dissolved, I will quickly cool it. You don't have to use a bowl with ice water at home. You can simply leave it to cool. You can even make the syrup in advance, and the syrup can be in your refrigerator for a couple of weeks. So this is the traditional formula. 1/4 cup water, 1/3 cup sugar. So I also prepared some orange juice because this is what I'm going to add to my simple syrup. Usually the traditional recipe is this quantity of simple syrup plus 2 tablespoons of liqueur. If I use liqueur, because I'm using orange flavor, Grand Marnier or Triple Sec would have been a perfect addition. However, I will just add some orange juice, 1/4 cup. I squeeze my orange, and I will also grate zest of this orange, which of course I washed in advance. So I'm watching here, and my sugar syrup is not ready yet. I see that it is dissolving slowly and coming to boil. So in the meantime, I can just grate the zest so that everything happens very quickly. So let me take the zester. I'll use the zester. And this is a microplane grater, which is wonderful for many, many different things. If you don't have it at home, I strongly recommend to get it because you can grate your spices. You also can grate lemon zest into your salads, which gives it flavor. And also you can grate chocolate, you can grate nutmeg, all kinds of different things. So let me look. Okay, now I see that my sugar syrup is boiling. So I am going to take my whisk and whisk it a little bit to dissolve the sugar. Okay. So now the sugar is dissolved. I'm turning off the heat. Okay. And I am placing this pot inside the ice water just to cool it quickly so that I don't have to interrupt my shoot. Okay, so in the meantime, while it's cooling, and you can of course move the water around because then it will allow it to cool faster. And then I will grate some more zest. Zest has a lot of aromatic oils, and this is something that is really going to flavor our syrup and make it orange tasting. If you just added the orange juice, it wouldn't be the same effect. It wouldn't give you the same rich orange flavor as when you are going to add the zest. Okay, so let me see. All right, a little more. Okay, so now that my sugar syrup has cooled, I will scrape some zest into it. And it's good to add it first because then the syrup is a little bit warm, still warm, and it will allow for the flavors to get really distributed in it. And then I will add 1/4 cup of orange juice. Okay, and my syrup is ready. So this is the syrup that I will use to moisten the cakes, and I will show you how I do it and what is the right way to do it. And we will come back when the cornbread is ready to be filled with buttercream and the cake is ready to be decorated. So we are back with the cornbread that's ready. As you can see what I did, I used this, I used my layer to make 2 4-inch smaller cutouts, and you don't have to worry if they are not looking very perfect, because once you put your buttercream around, nobody will know what is inside your cake, so you don't have to obsess about it. So I am now soaking my cake with syrup, and as you can see, I'm really using it generously because it is going to get absorbed, and there is good amount of pretty dry cake, especially when it's with cornmeal. You know, the texture is pretty coarse, so it can really absorb a lot of syrup. So make sure that you just keep brushing on, and the same thing with this one. And if you're making a cake and you're cutting it in half, then you want to spread or to put your syrup on the cut side of the layer, not on the bottom or top side of the layer. Okay, so let me put a little more. And as you can see, my cakes are not looking perfect. They are not cut perfectly again, and it's not a big deal. And also because you are moistening cakes with syrup, it's a good idea. You can do it actually in advance. You can let them sit in the refrigerator for a couple of hours so that syrup gets absorbed. Or once you assemble it, then make sure that you don't eat it right away. Allow it some time also for the moisture to penetrate and to create this wonderful flavor. I also have French vanilla buttercream, and this is a pretty involved recipe, so I'm not showing it to you. However, if you don't have real French vanilla buttercream and it's flavored with orange, as I said before, you can use whipped cream even here. So also I have this extra cake that I saved here. If you need to make patches, you can always do it with buttercream and with leftover cake, and I might show you what it looks like. So at the beginning, what you want to do is put some buttercream on this cut layer, and you will be spreading it with your offset spatula like that. And you can make sure that it is kind of peeking out a little bit because you will be frosting this cake anyway. And see, I'm putting a generous layer because the cake layers are pretty thick themselves. So you want to make sure that when you bite into it, that you get, a good layer of this luscious buttercream, and it is so delicious. And then I am flipping it upside down, and as you can see, I placed my plate, and then you can place some kind of round, either cardboard round, or I used the bottom of spring foam pan, because when I'm going to be frosting it, it's nice when you can rotate it. So what I'm doing now is placing it on top and evening it out to make sure that they're aligned. All right. And here, see, I can show you. Here you see that you don't have an even surface, right? So what I'm going to do is I will put a little bit of buttercream here. And then I will take some of my cake and I will just patch it. See? I will patch it and I will kind of push it in so that it creates nice even surface. And then when you will be putting your buttercream around, nobody will even know that you did that. So let's put here also a little bit of patching. All right. Let's put a little patching here. Okay. And here. All right. This happened because cornbread is just so crumbly. And that's why it happened. If you make genoise, I promise you it doesn't happen with genoise. Okay. So now you will take your buttercream and start first forming this crumb layer. So first, it's not going to be your finished layer. First, you make this crumb layer, which means that you want to make sure that all the crumbs, and see I am rotating it, that all the crumbs are fastened, that they are not loose, because you want to have a really neat surface when the cake is done. So you want to do this first. Okay, so I keep turning it to make sure that all of it is being covered. Okay. And more. All right. Okay. Okay. So now your crumb coat is practically done. All right. Let's smooth it over again to make sure that everything is looking even. Okay. And at this point, it's best to put it in the refrigerator so that your crumb coat gets set. So the buttercream that's around it gets firmed up, and then it will be very easy to apply the last decorative layer that is going to go on very, very smoothly. Okay, see, I'm using this movement now, pushing it up. Okay. All right. So as you can see, the techniques that I learned come in very handy when you want to make something artistic. The thing is that with cooking, you can really do things without measuring and throw things together and try this and that. With baking, it's precise science. And your creative process comes in when you are thinking, how can I combine these, templates that I know how to make? How can I combine them and make something interesting where different textures and flavors combine? Like, for example, I just happen to have the cornbread around, and I've never made it before in my life. But then I thought cornbread has interesting texture because of its crumbliness and toothiness. And then buttercream is extremely fluffy and smooth and creamy. And so combination is creating something very, very interesting. Okay, so now that I made this crumb coat, I can just finish by, putting a nicer layer around. And actually, as you know that lately, if you look at the pictures of different cakes, they don't even create this, smoothly covered layer, they allow the cake to show through. It's kind of like a modern look of the cake. And so I think that we will leave it like that. We will just make sure that everything is covered, but we will leave this nice, smooth look that is showing some cake. Okay, and here, make it smooth too, like that. All right. Another thing that you can do is with leftover crumbs, you could actually crumble them and toast them, and they would be a little crunchy, and then press them all around your cake. So that's another idea. So how am I going to decorate? First of all, I would like to use some orange zest and some chocolate, because these combinations of flavors, again, are really fantastic together. So I have this zester, and so first I will put the chocolate. So I already made these curls, and I'll show you how I did it. So you can just like put them here in the middle of the cake, and I'll show you how I did it. Okay. So you need, first of all, when you hold chocolate in your hands are warm, and so chocolate gets kind of a little smudgy and warm, and it's much easier to curl it. So you can, while you are holding it in the hand, it softens the chocolate, you turn it around, and you get these nice smooth curls. And then you turn it around again. See, it's warm again, and you have beautiful curls. So you can do as much as you want. You can just distribute them like that, right? And also with a zester, this is a wonderful tool that I treasure, that I can use on any citrus fruit. Basically, it's mostly lime, lemon, or orange. And you just go around, and you have these beautiful curls falling on top of your cake. And what's great is that it creates a lot of aroma. It's also a wonderful flavor combination. Orange and chocolate is just fantastic together. So when somebody is going to eat it, they are going to be biting into chocolate and also having this kind of infusion of orange zest. So now I will do a little bit of piping all around. So I have my bag, I inserted the tip, and then you twist it and push the bag inside, and then you open your bag like that, and then what you want to do is, let me move it. You will place your buttercream inside the bag like that. Okay. And then you just close it. You close it and push it down. Push it down so that it moves all the way to the tip. And then you fold it like this and grab it and twist it again. And then open this and do a little bit more pushing down so that your frosting will be moving towards the tip. Okay, and now you will be creating these nice rosettes, or whichever way you want to, to pipe it. You can do it like this. And then another one like this. Make sure that you step aside a little bit to leave some space. Okay. All right, so this will create a very festive look. And of course, anything that looks beautiful is very appetizing and attractive. And so another trick I can show you is that you can, even if you have leftover buttercream, you can do these, stripes along and to create this kind of look. Okay, so you can do a lot of different things. Okay, so I think that you got an idea how to make this lovely cake. I guarantee you that it's going to be delicious and it's going to surprise everybody with its texture, with its flavor, with its freshness. Now put it in the refrigerator, let it sit. You can let it sit overnight. And the next day, make sure to take it out of the refrigerator and let it sit for another half hour to let buttercream warm up. So thank you for joining me and watching my art in the kitchen.
That cake looks great. I hear that it tastes even better. We'll meet a few other artists next week. I believe that finding new things to do during this crisis is critical to surviving it. Hope you have found something new and interesting that keeps your mind sharp and your spirits up. Until next time, stay safe and strong.